So I'm going to talk about snakes because what people fear as much as the grizz are snakes. I get that question all the time when I'm giving talks, and it's really, they're cold-blooded animals, but they're not cold-blooded killers. Most people that are struck by a snake, a poisonous snake, let's just talk about rattlesnakes. There's 8,000 strikes a year of venomous snakes. Only about 5 people die. 33% of those strikes turn out to be dry strikes where they don't waste their venom on you. You're not a food source. There's a lot of reasons they really don't want to strike a human, but there are a lot of cases where they do. So you see, I'm not saying not to be careful. I've stepped on them. I've stepped over them. I've pushed them out of the way and gone around them. Usually they'll give you some warning, but not always. So you have to be vigilant. If you're wearing earbuds going up the trail, hopefully you don't miss a signal that the snake does give you. So it's not just the PCT, even though you will see a lot of rattlesnakes that first 700 miles of the PCT, but the Florida Trail, you're going to see a lot more snakes in Florida. I love hiking in Florida. You hike the Florida Trail, just plan on dealing with everything. I mean, you're going to see beautiful birds, all kinds of reptiles, lots of snakes. You're going to see gators. You're going to deal with ticks, a lot of ticks in Florida. But it's people really don't think of that as, primo backpacking country. They're all looking for mountains, but Florida has a wild side that's just incredible. And I've lived on the Ocklawaha River outside of Ocala, Silver Springs area for many winters over the years. And on that Ocklawaha River, those cold-blooded snakes are out there sunning themselves every morning, trying to warm up. And I had friends that actually worked for Ross Allen, who was the snake expert at the Glass Bottom Boats Silver Spring attraction. And they worked for him, when they're kids. When I was a kid, I had a paper route. When they were kids, they caught snakes and sold them to Ross Allen for his shows. And then as they got older, they went to work for him at his shows. And their favorite joke was, "You Yankees all come down here in the winter, and those snakes, they don't do anything. In the summer, we put them in the refrigerator. So when we bring them out to do a show, we've slowed them down a bit. But in the winter, they're darn slow. We can't get them to do anything." So Ross Allen would put a pin. He had a pin cemented in the floor, and he had a balloon to show people how fast a rattlesnake is when it strikes. And he couldn't get that snake to strike in the winter, so he'd run it over that pin and pop that balloon, and you Yankees would say, "Man, I didn't even see that snake move." So, but speaking of striking, it is lightning fast, and it can happen after they're dead. So you have to give them a lot of respect. I think a lot of the deaths, if you really read about snake deaths, happen in church. They pass the basket, that's one thing, but don't hand me a rattlesnake. So the other thing you're going to see on the Florida Trail quite often are water moccasins. And, they're, if you read enough about snakes, they're probably a little more aggressive, but they don't want to mess with you. They'll come up and, this is their stance. That's why they get that name Cottonmouth. It's got a white mouth, and that's just to let you know that they're there and don't mess with me. And it's a mean looking stance, and they get all the respect they need from me. And as far as rattlesnakes in Florida, Western diamondbacks you're going to see in Arizona, New Mexico, California, on the Arizona Trail, the Continental Divide Trail, I could probably count on one hand how many rattlesnakes I saw. And Western diamondbacks are, 1-2 feet long. An Eastern diamondback is about 6 feet long. We find a big one, and you'll give them a lot of respect when you see how big they are. So you just have to be, again, you have to be vigilant when you're hiking. Probably the biggest problem you have in Florida is not poisonous snakes, but poisonous ants, fire ants. they will get your attention. And I think they're aliens, but when they attack, you don't even know it till they're halfway up your leg and they all start biting at the same time. So that's going to be a bigger problem than snakes. Don't fear snakes so much, just respect them. So let me save you some money before we go here. Don't buy a snake venom extraction kit. It doesn't work. I can't believe that, they still sell those things. Enough people know they don't work. But again, you have to do your own due diligence, decide what you're going to carry. The more you become familiar with the critters on the trail, the more comfortable you'll be with them because they're not out to get you. But, that snake venom extraction kit is just a joke. Figure it out yourself. Do some reading. So I'll finish this video today with some footage I've taken along the Florida Trail. But more importantly, it'll show you what you can eat along the Florida Trail. Keep smiling.